Well, hey there. Welcome to Movie Review Mom. I'm the mom and I do the movie reviews. And today, even though I'm having a weird hair day and the sun is shining through my window and putting dots on me, I'm going to share a movie review for On a Wing and a Prayer. This dramatic Christian movie is based on true events and will be available on Amazon Prime and for sale on Amazon on April 7th. 2023. The movie is rated PG and is an hour and 42 minutes. My movie review mom grade is a B. And now keep watching so I can explain why I gave it the grade that I did. First of all, I'll give you an overview in a nutshell, and then I'll point out things that I liked and didn't like, as well as offer tips for parents, themes worth talking about after you watch the movie, and interesting lines. And I'll finish up with recommendations for other movies that are sort of similar that I think you'll also really like if you like this one. All right, I'm knocking stuff down on my table here. All right, so in a nutshell, this true story is about a family man played by Dennis Quaid. After his pilot dies unexpectedly mid-flight, he has to safely land a plane in order to save his entire family from insurmountable danger. The movie was directed by Sean McNamara and written by Brian Eggleston. The lovely Roma Downey served as the producer with Autumn Bailey Ford and the famous Mark Burnett as the executive producer. All right, there are plenty of things that I really liked about this movie. First of all, Dennis Quaid. He always plays such likable and crusty characters, especially in recent years, I think. Family members of the real Doug White have said that Dennis Quaid's performance was eerily accurate. I've also always enjoyed Heather Graham's performances, but I was a little bit surprised to see her cast as Dennis Quaid's wife because she's much younger than he is. Now, he's only 68 years old, really. That's not very old. And the older I get, the younger that sounds. But Heather is 53. Now, I know that's not an impossible age difference for a married couple. I was just surprised by the casting, is all. Brett Rice plays Dennis Quaid's loving brother in the film and does a great job. I got a kick out of their playful banter and support for one another, and they have some very touching moments together. There's a honky tonk vibe with a southern touch, giving us a soundtrack that's a lot of fun. It sure makes you appreciate pilots who know what they're doing when you watch this movie. When I watch true stories like this, I often wonder how many of the details are actually accurate versus how many were added for dramatic effect. For example, it's super cliche to have a child with a health emergency during an already dangerous situation. So I'm wondering if that part or plot of the story was actually true. Let me know. Comment down below if you know the deets. There are some very sweet and touching moments throughout the entire movie. It was really clever to utilize two children who are side characters to explain to the audience the various flying principles. We see personal growth in several characters. And I say characters, but they're real people, but you know what I mean. We get to read messages on the screen at the end of the movie that tell us what happened after the true events of the movie. We also get to see pictures and even videos of the real people involved. As we watch a video of Doug telling the story of what happened, it's touching to see that he now recognizes the many times when God intervened to save his family on that very traumatic day. It's a family-friendly movie that illustrates how wavering faith can become strengthened. Now, there were some things I didn't like about the movie. First of all, some of the scenes in the airplane have pretty terrible green screen shots. Jesse Case plays a snarky, entitled teenager with an attitude. And so I wonder how the daughter in real life feels about being portrayed that way. She probably is now humbled and recognizes, after years of growth and maturity, that she could have had a better attitude, I'm sure. It was kind of surprising to see how quickly some of the air traffic controllers easily were willing to give up and say, it's a suicide mission. There's no hope. Some of the dialogue is pretty lame. In one scene, we see dark clouds and rain where this little girl, the side character, lives, but then suddenly we see perfectly blue skies in the very next scene. And I was like, is the timeline a little messed up, or did the clouds actually part? I don't know. The unsung hero of this story, I think, is really Doug's wife. She never gave up hope, while Doug did. She constantly prayed and offered hope and pulled out the manual to figure out what to do, whereas he constantly wavered and kept saying over the pilot headphone, "We need help." Sure, he had to fly the actual plane, but she didn't seem to get all of the credit that I thought that she deserved. She was the wind beneath his wings, so to speak. Since the real life events, Doug is now a very faithful Christian and often speaks to audiences to build faith. And I love that. Let me give you some tips for parents because this is a family-friendly movie. There are people in perilous situations. We see homeless people being fed by kind other people. Parents can point that out and say, let's go do some volunteer work. There's lots of alcohol, and we see a man who is even hung over. There's a suggestive conversation about a one-night stand. There is some mild profanity. A man dies of a heart attack. Now, that's not a spoiler. That's actually in the trailer. And that's the pivotal event that kickstarts this whole experience, really, where Doug has to fly a plane. And we see a teen help another teen who has a health emergency. Some of the themes that are illustrated very well in the movie are survival, hobbies, family, faith and doubt, life and loss, communication, hope, celebrating answered prayers, and seeing God's hand in the details of our life. So I always like to write down funny lines and interesting lines so you can kind of get a taste for the movie and the dialogue. And so here are some interesting lines that I thought were really important or crucial or just poignant, I guess, and inspiring. So Heather Graham plays as Mrs. White, and she says, you got to be grateful for what you got before you don't have it anymore, which is absolutely true. Pastor Williams is played by James Healy Jr., and he says, life and loss cannot exist without the other. And he says that at a funeral, and I just thought that that was a really great line. Jesse Metcalf plays a character who says, sometimes you got to trust in those things you can't see. And that is absolutely what this movie is about. It's for believers, but also for non-believers to consider that God is real and that he does play a very personal role in our life. And then Jeff White, who's played by Brett Rice, he's the brother. He says, thank God for growth, huh? Hallelujah. And I like, again, that so many characters did experience growth, not just the one main man. Now, let me give you some recommendations for other movies that I think that you'll also really, really like. The first one is called Blue Miracle, and I just thought it was so good. It is a true story, and it also features that same actor, Dennis Quaid. It will just touch your heart and make you cry. I really loved that movie. Another movie, and that one's a true story, also all of these are true stories, actually. And so another true story that was made into a movie is called Miracles from Heaven, with Jennifer Garner. She's actually been in quite a few Christian movies lately, and I'm just so pleased to see that she's trying to bring good, clean, family-friendly movies to the big screen. And then another one is called The Cokeville Miracle. I actually got to meet the director of that movie and hear a lot of the behind-the-scenes stories about this movie, this true story that took place, and how he was inspired to create this film and the choices that he made directing it. And like I said, some of the behind the scenes stories with the people that he interviewed that actually lived through this incredible experience. All right, that's it. I hope you enjoy this movie if you watch it and that your faith is strengthened. Have a fantastic day, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.